Geography comes from the Greek geod that means earth and grapho that means description. Eratosthenes of Cyrene was a Greek mathematician, astronomer, and geographer who invented the word geography and was the first to demonstrate that Earth was round and to calculate its dimensions. Strabo was the first to write a work called Geographica, where he recognized the Aristotelian works as a basis and described some of the main geographical concepts. The branches of geography are physical geography, deals with the studies of natural phenomena, that is, those not involved with the human activity, such as hurricanes, earthquakes, tsunamis, storms, or tornadoes. Human geography studies societies and how the occupation of territory affects them and the environment. Biological geography, its field of study is the flora and fauna distribution and their relationship with the environment in which they are present. Natural and cultural landscape. Natural, the one that has not been modified by human actions such as soil, water, climate, flora, and fauna. And the cultural, the one that has been created or changed by people in order to adapt it to their needs, like population, production, and communications. Methodological principles. Location. Latitude, longitude, altitude. Causality. It identifies the causes or the events that trigger a determined phenomenon or event, and their consequences. Relation. It refers to the existing coordinations between the geographical phenomena and the social and biological events that happen in a place. Generality. It establishes the identification and comparison of the events. Evolution. It studies the transformation that the geographical events and phenomena undergo. The geographical references are imaginary spots, lines, and circles that represent the terrestrial axis, the hemispheres, the poles, the equator, the parallels, and the meridians. Cartography is the science used to create maps to geographically represent a place. There are different kinds of maps. Historical maps, they represent human events. Human maps, they are useful to represent the infrastructure built up by humans such as highways, dams, railroads, etc. Physical maps, they represent physical phenomena, for example, the distribution of different kinds of soil, climate, sun, etc. Maps must have the following elements. Scale, it refers to the relation between the surface actual measure and what it has been represented on the map. Legend, it is the exploratory list of symbols on a map. Compass rose, it is the geographical representation of cardinal directions. Map projections. Terrestrial globe. It is one of the most used ways to represent the planet. Mercator or cylindrical. It is widely used to create planispheres. Conic. It is very useful to project the continents. Azimuthal equal area projection. It is used to represent polar zones. Equidistant equal area. These are cylindrical projections in which meridians and parallels form equal rectangles or squares. Mulway. It is a pseudo-cylindrical projection where the Earth is represented with a curved edge and curved meridians. Good homolocene. This is an interrupted version of the Mulway where the Earth is cylindrically projected with an interrupted latitude. Edwin Hubble classified the next galaxies. Spiral shape. They are identified with the letter S and they may be the most frequent type in the universe and they have the shape of a wheel. Elliptic shape. They are identified with the letter E and they are not as common. Only 20% of the galaxies have this shape. Irregular shape. These galaxies are identified by the letter IRR and they do not have a specific shape. There were 4 theories of the solar system: nebular theory, catastrophic theory, allosteric, Cameron theory, Weizsäcker theory. The true one was the Weizsäcker theory, assumes that an original nebula was formed by a disk of hydrogen, dust and helium in rotational movement. The components of the solar system are planets, asteroids, satellites, meteorites, comets, and the Sun. The Sun layers are: core, its temperature is above 15 million degrees Celsius. Radiative zone, energy from the core is carried out by radiation. Convective zone, in this layer energy is transmitted by convection. Photosphere, it is the Sun's surface and the visible part of it. Chromosphere, it is the atmosphere of the Sun and is formed by incandescent gases. Corona, it is the outermost region and can be seen as a beautiful silver-white crown around the Sun. The Sun is important to the Earth because it gives luminous and caloric radiation that are necessary for supporting life on our planet. It provides light to plants, which is necessary for the photosynthesis process. It regulates temperature on Earth's surface. It also sends to our planet ultraviolet radiation, which alters life patterns.
The Moon is the only natural satellite. It's composed by aluminum, calcium, iron, magnesium, silicon, etc. It lacks any water, vegetation, or light of its own, so it reflects the sunlight. It presents a rotational movement and a revolutionary movement around its gravitational center. These are the phases of the Moon and their characteristics. Our planet is the third from the Sun. It has two movements. Rotational, that is when the Earth moves around the polar axis following a west to east direction, and the revolutionary movements follow an elliptical orbit around the Sun. The whole loop is completed by 365 days, 5 hours and 48 minutes. The rotation cycle consists on 23 hours, 56 minutes and 5 seconds, that is day and night. Translation cycle is based on 365 days, 5 hours and 48 minutes. The precision cycle lasts 25,780 years, and the nutation cycle causes that the Earth follows a sinuous path while moving in rotation axis. Earth's structure. Nucleus is the innermost layer of Earth. Mantle is an intermediate zone separated from the nucleus by the Gutenberg discontinuity. Crust is the most superficial layer of the Earth and the tiniest one, and lithosphere, it is the outermost layer and is formed by the crust and the upper mantle. Some of the consequences of the tectonic plates are the landforms like mountains, plateaus, and plains. And finally, other consequences are the volcanism, that are multiple movements of tectonic plates, and the seismicity, that is the collision between two tectonic plates. In Mesozoic era, Pangaea continues breaking down and the Earth's crust stretches. In Cenozoic, Antarctica was totally separated from Australia because of the continuous fracture of Pangaea. In the Quaternary, a great glacial era started. This era was dominated by the Homo sapiens. There are bigger plates and smaller plates. Here we show how they are divided. Some properties of the atmosphere are the mobility, that the air has the ability to flow. The color, air has no color, is transparent. Compressibility, it is the physical property of a gas to decrease its volume when pressure rises. Expansibility is the opposite of compressibility, and the athermancy, in which sun crosses and hit directly the Earth. Atmospheric layers are the troposphere, where almost all atmospheric phenomena occur, the stratosphere, the mesosphere, the ionosphere, and the exosphere. Here we can observe some characteristics of the climate in the atmosphere. The climate zones are the torrid zone, that is near to the equator, the temperate zones, that are the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn, and the polar zones, that is the Arctic and the Antarctic. The most widely used climate classification is the Köppen climate, proposed by Vladimir Peter Köppen. It is based in two variables, temperature and precipitation. The hydrosphere is considered also a layer of Earth. which covers 70% of entire planet's surface. The distribution of water is 97% oceans, 2% glaciers, and 1% fresh water. The water cycle is a process which comprises the following steps: evaporation, when water becomes vapor; condensation, when water vapor in the atmosphere liquefies and forms clouds; precipitation is when rain occurs. In the runoff, most of the water will drain to form streams and feed like lakes and rivers. Infiltration, it refers to the part of the rainwater that escapes into the soil and recharges groundwater streams. Another part flows into the rivers and eventually lakes and oceans, where the cycle starts all over again. The parts in which the urban water cycle is divided are supply, purification, distribution, consumption, sewer treatment, and discharge. Human geography. The anthropology helps us to see the evolution of the human being. Demography helps us to understand the characteristics of society. History helps us to know which events occurred to our ancestors. Economy studies the products and services that meet our needs. The political science analyzes the power of certain social groups for making decisions and achieving the goals. Demographic indicators provide information on the number of individuals within a population, like birth rate, mortality rate, infant mortality rate, population growth rate, fertility rate, human sex ratio, literacy, and life expectancy.
Aristotle was one of the first to conclude that the Earth was round based on the observation of the stars, eclipses, and tides. Bacon was the first to base knowledge on sensorial experience. Believe only what the senses say and not base your knowledge on legends or myths in order to understand nature. Charles Darwin gave a rival to the origin of species landmark transmutation theory was refuted and evolution appeared as a new concept linked very closely to ecology as a science.
Branches of ecology. Ecology, this branch analyzes the mutual interactions between the environment and the organisms that deal in it. Synecology, its study is the community. Population ecology, it studies a population in terms of its environment and relationships with other populations. Ecosystem ecology, it deals with the mass and energy flows between organisms and the biotic components in their environment. The method of study of ecology is based on observe and measure phenomena or characterization, form hypotheses, experiment, and make conclusions. Biotic factors are living components like oxygen, soil, water, and abiotic factors are non-living components like the atmosphere and solar energy.
Factors that regulate population growth. Abiotic, prevent population from overgrowing. Biotic, there are factors that regulate the size of populations. Competition, occurs between organisms that require the same sources, which are limited. Predation, is an organism that feeds another. Mutuality, organisms of different species benefit mutually when interacting. Amensalism, one member is affected negatively. Commensalism, one species is benefited in some way. Intrinsic factor and extrinsic factor. Intrinsic, when the population is high. Individuals develop high mortality rates for the extinguishing resources or competition for food, cannibalism, or lack of space. Extrinsic factor, external biotic and abiotic elements or populations that cause mortality or inhibit reproduction. Communities are a set of population of different species that interact and share a common point in space that is called habitat. Biomes are defined as an ecological community which dominates a certain ecosystem. For example, tundra, taiga boreal forest, temperate forest, steppe or prairies, desert, Mediterranean chaparral, tropical or rainforest, subtropical, savanna, sea, and fresh water.